Hey, in this lesson, we're gonna cover 3 easy songs to play on the guitar that have chords, but they're actually really easy to strum. And I'm gonna show you how you can start strumming these songs really easily and get some classic songs under your fingers and just start ripping it up. My name's Will Ripley. You're tuning in to Campfire Guitar Star. All right, welcome back. This is gonna be a good one. I'm excited to share with you all these chord switching and chord strumming topics. And just before we hop in the lesson, I just wanted to encourage you to download the free PDF that has all the tabs, all the chords, all the chord charts, all the songs, all the song names, all that good stuff. It's all available for you right here on this page. Just have a search around, you'll find some sort of download the PDF button here. And of course, that will be great to go along with this lesson, just so you have all the written material kind of pulled up in front of you as well. So what we're gonna really focus on in this lesson is some easy chords and some easy strumming. But in particular, what we're gonna focus on is this right hand, the strumming hand. And we're gonna really focus on this down-up strum pattern. And let me know in the comments if this is you, but a lot of people get really confused and lost in the rhythms. You know, all these complex down-up strum patterns, you know, 2 downs, 2 ups, 3 downs, 3 ups, all this kind of stuff. And it can kind of get a little bit, you know, messed up because all you're trying to do is play some rhythms, play some chords, and have some fun with it. But yeah, a lot of times, and I've seen this happen to a ton of people, so no worries, but it's easy to get lost in all those down-up strum patterns. So what we're gonna focus on in this lesson is our 3 songs. We're gonna go over Zombie by the Cranberries, Gloria by them, and what I played on the intro, Who Will Stop the Rain by CCR. And all of these songs have this down-up strum pattern. So if I just quickly give you that intro again. So if you notice what is going on with my right hand there, I'm going. Okay, and there's absolutely totally a solid rhythm going on there. So maybe you wanna just try that for yourself right out the gate. Let's just get kind of like a dead weight on our strings so we can just get that sound. Okay, that's all you need to deaden those strings. And what we wanna do is just get a steady beat going here. So that tempo I've chosen. So I'm tapping my left foot, and sometimes people find it easy to tap their right foot because our right sides of our bodies are connected. So our right hand is kind of connected with our right foot. And it's kind of like if you imagine a piece of string attached to your big toe. So when your hand goes down, so does your foot. Your foot hits the floor. And then when your hand goes up, that string pulls up on your foot and makes your foot go up in the air. So just try that for a second. And I tend to do both feet, either foot, you know, switch it up, but down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And the next thing is you can do it kind of like robotically like that and kind of static, but you'll find that you can actually inject a lot of rhythm with accenting certain beats, so hitting certain ones harder than the others. So in there, I'm really hearing Who Will Stop the Rain there, and I'm going down, 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 right? There's that accent in that song. So we can actually make this very simple strum pattern very easy. And this is kind of a segment from my course, Stairway to Strumming, where we, as the name states, we build a stairway for you to switch chords, strum chords, play bar chords, all the classic open chords, and be able to play a ton of classic songs in between them. And if you caught some of my other lessons on the channel recently, we started with single note riffs, then we built up to power chords, then we talked about some chords that we can strum that don't require strumming at all. And now in this lesson, we're talking about chords that do require strumming, but this is this particular strum pattern that only requires this down-up motion and a very basic rhythm. But as mentioned, we're going to play the Cranberries, we're going to play CCR, right, and the Gloria song by them. And yeah, so some really classic, cool tunes. And by the way, Stairway to Strumming is actually on sale right now for over 50% off. You'll find another link on this page on how you can get more information and check that out and see if that's going to be a good fit for you. So now that we got that strum pattern, let's hop into the first tune. I actually wanted to hop into Gloria by them, which sounds something like this. So we've got 3 chords first. So let's actually just go over those chords and then we'll talk about that strum pattern and how we tie that all together. So our first chord is going to be a good old-fashioned E major chord. Okay. We're going to switch over to a D major chord. And an A major chord. Now, I play my A major chords like this. So do players like Jimmy Page, if you ever heard of that guy. You know, so, and the reason I mention that is I know that there's a lot of different ways to play your A chord, right? So I just ripped through a few of them. So you get 1 finger, 1, 3 fingers, these 3 fingers, and even like kind of mixtures of these fingers like that. Why not just play your A chord with 1 finger? And especially if you notice, Gloria has a really fast transition. So what's going to be really helpful is to actually be able to switch these chords really quickly. And that 1 finger A chord will definitely help you do that. And as mentioned, all these chords will be laid out in chord charts on that PDF that you can download for free. So anyways, so probably the first thing is just playing each one of those chords probably 1 time and just scrolling through them. So you can see that E chord gets held longer than the E and the A. Okay, and quite simply what we're going to do is just add in that down-up strum pattern and start integrating it into that kind of format that I just laid out. So what that would sound like is something like this. So now just stick with me because I'm going to break this down even further because I know that those chords happen fast and a lot of people are really challenged by just getting the chords down. So that's why I'm saying like maybe you need to just, you know, press pause on the video right now and just cycle these chords non-stop for 15 minutes. You know, set that timer on your phone for 15 minutes and just cycle those 3 chords over and over because a lot of times that's all it takes to really get these chords to lock and load into place. And in fact, another tip that we have in Stairway to Strumming is what we call the 4 S's, which means you stretch out your fingers, you stick the chord simultaneously, okay? You strum the chord, make sure it's all clean and clear, and you can say the chord too, E major in this case, just to kind of like lock that in place to just memorize that this shape on the guitar is an E major. So stretch, stick, strum, E major. Stretch, stick, strum, E major, and say it. So maybe that's something that you want to do is just stretch, stick, strum, stretch, stick, strum, and play those chords over and over and get that going on. And also, like I said, the next step would be to cycle through them like this. Now, what we can do is we can play kind of a slow version of Gloria, which will still sound good, but as mentioned, that down-up strum pattern is where the magic happens. So what's beautiful about this is that we're just gonna basically shut off our brains. We're just gonna put our strumming hand on autopilot. Okay, this guy is just cruising right along in this down-up pattern, as fast or as slow as you need. Maybe it's like this fast, right? Maybe we can slow that right down, but slow and steady wins the race. Right? So we've got down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And what's really cool about this, and I was actually messing around with this right before I recorded this video, which was this. if I go ahead and actually miss a chord, or if I'm super slow in getting to the chord, it will actually sound okay. Now check this out. I'm actually just gonna totally strum open strings and miss the D chord altogether, and watch what happens. Now, why doesn't that sound worse than it should, right? You'd think that, okay, dude, you're missing the D chord altogether. There's only 3 chords and you're missing the second one. What's going on? It should sound awful, right? But what you're doing with this down-up strum pattern is you're maintaining the steady rhythm all the way through that. And so as long as there's no interruptions with the rhythm, a lot of times the music just naturally keeps on going and it doesn't sound that bad. Right? So, as mentioned, I completely missed a chord, but it didn't sound too bad. And part of that reason, if you want to geek out on it a bit, which I like to geek out on stuff on guitar. So check this out. A D, G, and B strings, if you play those 3 strings, technically, those are the 3 notes right out of a major chord. So the guitar, even when you kind of strum it like this, it's kind of like you're playing a version of a G chord. Okay? And so that's partly why these chord transitions sound okay, even if you miss a chord or even if you're slow going to that chord. And I kind of also like to think about, 1960s rock when these guys were first coming up, right, into playing electric guitar music, and rock and roll was just emerging and stuff. A lot of these guys were not super proficient players, but they learned some chords, but they had this attitude behind them. And the attitude has a lot to do with that rhythm and the drum beat. And, we had guitar players had to change chords really, really quickly, and like to get that rock and roll sound. And I think Gloria is a great example of that. And we just had to incorporate open strings because, we just needed that split second in between chords. And it's just kind of magical how it's all worked out, We've got this G chord in there. It doesn't sound too bad to hit open strings, okay? So that's the very first one that I wanted to throw at you here, was that riff from Gloria, just E, D, and A. And you just pick your tempo, however fast or slow it is, but that's got to be steady, okay? And a lot of people make the mistake of going like, and then they stop, and then they get their next chord, and then they stop, and then they get the next chord. And that, my friends, as you can hear, sounds very bad. If I'm to try to play you a performance of a song and go, right? It just doesn't sound connected at all. Whereas, as mentioned, I can totally miss a chord, but the rhythm is going, and so already it sounds more like the guitar should, and what you've been hearing on all your favorite records for decades and decades, right? So this is actually a really important thing about the guitar that I want to get across to you in this lesson, is that open strings are our friend, and you actually have to integrate them in your chord changes, especially, but you'll also find open strings and a mixture of open strings and soloing and riffing and all kinds of stuff like that too. All right, let's go ahead and hop into the next song, Who Will Stop the Rain by CCR, as I played it on the intro there. This is a great tune because what we're going to do is focus on this G chord to an E minor 7 chord. And that's it. So what it sounds like is this. But you probably caught that there. What's going on is there's this little transitionary chord. And basically what's happening is it is a D major chord, but there's this sound with the F sharp and the bass, because the bass line itself goes. Right, it has that very boom, 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 a step down to that E minor. So let's just get the main 2 chords down first. We'll talk about that punch, the little punch-in chord in a second. But But yeah, so we got a G major, and I would recommend to play this as your 4-finger G. You can also play your G like this, which you know, they both sound really good and will definitely replicate that Who Will Stop the Rain intro vibe. But yeah, the big one here is this E minor 7. And it's just an E minor chord, but with those same 2 strings and 2 fingers that we locked in on that 4-finger G, okay? So actually, this just ends up being a 2-finger switch into the E minor 7. Okay, so that's probably the very first thing that you want to do. Maybe pause the video right here. Just cycle that back and forth. Okay, and it's in that sense, it's actually a lot easier than Gloria because we have these anchor fingers here, and that's what those are. Okay, so the little punch chord in there is going to be a D major with an F sharp in the bass. Okay, and I like to play that a lot of times with my thumb reaching up and around to hit that 2nd fret and muting the A string. Okay, definitely an advanced chord. You know, I remember when I first started playing chords with my thumb and how awkward it was. So just be prepared. You might feel a little bit uncomfortable. But another great version to do this with and to actually maintain that these anchor fingers in place is to play a D sus over F sharp like this, okay? And that's gonna be a really easy transition to that E minor 7. So I might actually suggest that you play it like this for today, especially because we're really just focusing on strumming and switching chords and kind of like easing you into this technique, okay? So let's just go ahead with that. So we got G major to the D sus over F sharp to the E minor 7. Okay, and it actually sounds really nice the other way too. So if you strum out that E minor 7, go to the D sus over F sharp to the G major, okay? And again, maybe that's something that you want to cycle through right now. You know, just a very classic sound that we've heard in a million different pop songs. So, as mentioned, all we're gonna do is we're just gonna get that down-up strum pattern going, okay? And again, as fast or as slow as you need, okay? So let's just, of course, start out slow just so we don't alienate any beginners that may be out there watching this. So we'll start out like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And just in case you're wondering about the pre-chorus and the chorus, I will make sure to include those with the lyrics and just make sure you're all taken care of for, of course, the chorus and just getting everything going on. And bonus points for this one. What's really cool about getting this down-up strum pattern is that once that's locked and loaded, similarly to how we were dropping a chord in Gloria, what we can do in this tune is we can actually drop strums and just maintain that down-up motion, okay? And that will actually get you a little closer to how the intro sounds, like with that iconic, right? So we all know how that sounds. And so if we actually get that strum pattern going, you can see my arm is still moving in that down-up pattern, actually dropping some of those strums at the end so I can get that do-da-boom-bow, boom-da-boom-bow. But this is your tempo meter, right? That's that string attached to your big toe and pulling your foot up and and getting that rhythm just nice and steady, right? And getting your strum hand on autopilot, sailing through the clouds, just on autopilot, making it all nice and easy and feeling good. So. I know you guys were all singing along with me there. I could hear you. Anyways, so, and stay tuned for a future lesson where we're going to actually upgrade this and talk about arpeggiated strumming, where we get that, all that good stuff. You know, you hear that in all kinds of classic songs use that arpeggiated strumming. So stay tuned for that. Now that brings me to song number 3, which is Zombie by the Cranberries. And actually, if you learn Who Will Stop the Rain, Cranberries by Zombie becomes so easy because we actually learned pretty much all of the 4 chords, but we learned 3 of them. So we just got 1 more to go. So here's what it sounds like. Right, so as you probably could recognize already, we have an E minor 7 and a G and that D sus4. The only one that we didn't cover already is the C add 9, which looks a heck of a lot like this G major chord, but it's just with our 2nd and 1st finger on those A and D strings. Okay, so in this case, we're gonna actually start on the E minor 7, 2, 3, 4 to the C add 9, 2, 3, and to the G, 1, 2, 3, and to this D sus over F sharp. Let's cycle through that one more time. E minor 7 to the C add 9, and over to the G, and down to the D sus over F sharp. Now this is really cool because we're going to use actually mostly downs in this song. We could certainly do it with down ups, but to get kind of that rock and roll kind of intensity that we especially heard in the 1990s, you know, this is a fairly heavy song, you know, distorted guitars come in, and it's nice and heavy and charging. That charging sound on guitar is often found with downstrokes. So like, you know, a lot of that kind of like metal sound, you know, all that kind of stuff. Right? So I'm playing metal on acoustic. Heck yeah. Anyways, those are all downstrokes. Right? Now, as soon as I integrate upstrokes, it just completely changes the feel of the rhythm and everything. So on this tune, we definitely want to have the rhythm charging forward, and so we're going to use a lot of downstrokes, but again, just kind of a very simple one direction type of strum pattern, and just getting that right hand on autopilot, similarly to how we've been talking about the other 2 songs in today's lesson. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go down, 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 and then switch. And then switch. And then switch. Okay, So a couple things that I want to show you in this and to make everything nice and smooth, and we're going to throw in some upgrades here as well. But the one big thing that I want to get across right away is, as mentioned, just down, 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 right? All day long, okay? And we're just playing each one of those chords for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So 8 strums per chord. But the one thing that I want to point out right out the gate here is on that 8th strum, you actually want to lift off your fingers, and it's okay if you hit some open strings, okay? So what that looks like is this: 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So, and it helps to keep those anchor fingers there to just kind of almost make it sound like you didn't leave that chord, right? So we still have a little bit of the chord intact, and to get us to that C add 9 right on that one beat, okay? So this guy keeps on going. Like if I take the chords away, this is my strum pattern, right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So on that 8th beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, it's the same thing here. Right on that last strum of that chord, I'm gonna lift off those fingers and get it to the next chord. So hopefully that's making sense. That definitely takes some, finagling, some messing around with, and just to find that. But I hope you can see the power in this lesson so far is just like getting basic strum patterns going on. And as you can hear and as you can see, and hopefully as you are playing for yourself, these are some classic, very famous songs that don't require a ton of complex strumming. And this is what I want to kind of help you get access to here today. So another thing that we can integrate to kind of sprinkle in a pro technique, which is to just inject a little bit more rhythm. And we talked a little bit about this in just kind of hitting some of those little accents inside the rhythm. And so the one that I want to show you here is where we are accenting beats 2 and beats 4. So what that sounds like I'll just play it straight down the line static. Nothing wrong with that, sounds okay. But I personally really like, and I hope you like this too and see this as an upgrade where we go like this. Just kind of like injects a little bit more rhythm, like I can just kind of feel my body moving a little bit to the beat, a little bit easier that way. And what I'm doing is a mixture of two things. I'm hitting beats 2 and beats 4 harder, so I'm just going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, right? So just literally strumming beats 2 and beats 4 harder, which gives them that accent that the drummer would normally be hitting. Boom, boom, crack, boom, 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 crack. Okay? So it's that crack, it's the crack of the snare drum that we're accenting with our strumming. So okay? So I really like that. I think that improves a lot of people's guitar playing just by finding beats 2 and beats 4 and accenting those. And the other thing that I want to show you is what I call string splitting. And so we've roughly got 3 strings on the bottom here, our bass notes, and then we've got our high notes of the chord. Okay, so what you can do is to kind of like further accentuate that accent is by going like this. Boom, boom, clap, okay? Boom, boom, clap, boom, 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 clap, boom, 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 clap. So as you can see, I'm strumming my bottom strings, and on that accent, I can either strum all 6 strings or just the top strings, but it kind of like separates the strings, and that's why I call it string splitting, is that we've got the bottom strings and the top strings. So here's what that sounds like with that accent. So I'm gonna string split and I'm gonna strum beats 2 and beats 4 harder. Okay, so here we go. Ready, go. So there's Zombie by the Cranberries, and really from the verse to the chorus in that song, it's actually the same 4 chords. So when the singer comes in, you can play it quiet. And then when the chorus comes in and it's super loud and the drums are heavy and the distorted guitars come in, you can just strum the whole thing louder. And either version can still benefit from having the string splitting and the accents. And of course, as mentioned, when you're leaving that chord early on that last strum in order to get to the next chord on time. And hopefully I've been able to tie that in for you on the other 2 songs as well, especially on Gloria when we talked about strumming open strings and how it just kind of like magically works out and has always worked out basically ever since the invention of the guitar. Was we've got these strings that kind of formulate chords in between our chords, and playing them helps us with that transitionary moment so we can get to the next chord on time without killing the rhythm and without stopping the sound coming from our instrument. And so this is really what I want to encourage you to essentially master, or at least integrate into your playing a little bit, which is to get that right hand on autopilot. These are 3 great songs to practice all those techniques on. And also, yeah, just to start getting some transitions with your chording hand and getting everything kind of happening together. And the next phase, and what we cover really in depth in my program called Stairway to Strumming, is just kind of this next phase. Like, okay, we've got strumming, we've got some chords happening. How do we play bar chords? How do we switch between bar chords? How do we play all kinds of more complex rhythms? How do we make up rhythms on our own? How do we play without the pick or with the pick? You know, and all that stuff. And as mentioned, we've got some future lessons coming out as well with arpeggiated strumming, kind of all that. Right, so there's all kinds of other strumming techniques that we cover in depth in the Stairway to Strumming program, which, by the way, you can find right here on this page at an amazing discount. The price is going up to regular price so it's over 50% off right now, and that price is going to go back up to normal price here very, very soon. So make sure to check out those details before that offer expires. And otherwise, check out the latest videos that I've released on this channel here. You'll find kind of like a rough overview of each module and kind of each step of Stairway to Strumming, where we start out at riffs, move up to power chords, talk about chords without strumming. Now we're talking about chords with strumming. And then, as mentioned, there's all kinds of different directions that we're gonna go in future lessons. So make sure to keep an eye out here right on the channel. And also, if you're liking this approach, if you're seeing kind of the value in what's kind of laid out for you in these free lessons, then as you can imagine, actually investing in Stairway to Strumming is going to be an awesome choice and something I would at least recommend that you check out just while this is on sale. So stay tuned for the next lesson. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, leave me a comment, stay tuned for the next one, and until then, keep on ripping it up.